We were learning about various types of business services. We have already seen what is banking, what is insurance, and some of the features, classifications, etc. In this session, we will be discussing about another business service. We are all in need of goods, and production of goods happen almost every day. But we cannot say that all the goods are being used at the time when it is produced, or at a very close time when it is produced. There can be time gap between time of production and time of consumption. There can be a difference in time. So we have to overcome that difference between the time of production and time of consumption. So in this session, we will be learning about that service which is helping us to overcome the time gap difference between time of production and time of consumption, and that service is the service of warehousing. So in this session, we will be discussing about what is warehousing. Warehousing is the activity of keeping and storing goods in a scientific and systematic manner. It's a static unit. It is a static unit means it is not a movable unit. It's a static unit where goods are being stored in a scientific and systematic manner. It is stored in such a way that each good has to be stored. Certain goods have to be refrigerated and stored. Certain goods have to be stored in a particular temperature, and it has to be put in proper. Certain goods are fragile, so it has to be packed and kept in such a manner it is not breaking. So it is a unit where goods are scientifically and systematically stored till time of consumption, from the time of production. Again, what is warehousing doing? Warehousing is making goods available at the right place, right time, in right quantity, in right physical form, and at right cost. It is making goods available at wherever the good is required at the right time, whenever it is required. When we are having stock of goods, we can reach it at the place where we want and at the time it is wanted. In right quantity, there will be enough and more goods stored in a warehouse, so we can get it in right quantity. Right physical form. As I have said, certain goods are to be stored in certain conditions. So it will be given in the right physical form. Right physical form means it will be in the form as it has to be. Those things which are to be refrigerated will be refrigerated. Those things which have to be kept in a warm place will be kept in warm place. So there are certain goods which are to be stored without having light on it. It will be stored like that, whatever be. So it will be in the right physical form. In the form it is to be, and at right cost. When we are making available at goods, the cost of it can be maintained. At right cost it can be available. Now coming on to another thing, it is helping to overcome the time gap. As I have said, what is basically done by warehouse is that it is helping to overcome the time gap, hindrance of time gap, the trouble of time gap between time of production and time of consumption. Time of production and time of consumption. It is solving the problem between the problem of time gap between that. So that is what is warehousing is doing. So warehousing is basically helping us to store goods from the time of production to time of consumption, and making goods available at right time, right place, right cost, right physical form, etc. Now coming on to types of warehouses. Types of warehouses, as I have said, it's a static unit for storing goods. It can be classified on the basis of ownership. So first one is public warehouse. There is all chances for you to make a mistake. When you see public, you will write it is owned by government, but it is not owned by government. Public warehouses are those warehouses which are owned and operated by private individuals, but licensed by government. By paying an amount, any member of public can use that warehouse. So, public warehouses are those warehouses which are owned and operated by individuals or group of individuals, and it is licensed by government, and by paying a particular amount of money, a sum of money, you can use public warehouse. What is private warehouse? Private warehouse, as the name denotes, private warehouses are those warehouses which are owned, operated and controlled by private parties. It can be individual, it can be individuals. It is owned, operated and controlled by private individuals. Such kind of warehouses which are maintained by private individuals for the use of their firms. They will not allow any public to come and store the things there. They will be having the warehouses for themselves, for their firms. Such kind of warehouses are called private warehouses. Bonded warehouses. Bonded warehouses, you can find it at aerodromes or shipping ports, airports and shipping ports or harbors, where these warehouses are owned, operated and controlled by either the shipping port authorities or airport authorities, in order to keep the goods, in order to store the goods till the payment of customs duties and taxes. Till that time, those goods can be stored in bonded warehouses. Such kind of goods are called, such kind of warehouses are called bonded warehouses, which is owned, operated and controlled by shipping port authorities or airport authorities. Government warehouse. Government warehouses are those warehouses which are owned, operated and controlled by government. And it is basically for storing the goods of government firms or government organizations. And the government has set up certain organization to particularly look into this kind of maintaining and running of this kind of warehouses. We have state warehouses, state warehousing corporation is there. So, such kind of warehouses which are owned, operated and controlled by government or government authorities, we call it by the name government warehouses. And last one is cooperative warehouses. Cooperative warehouses are those warehouses which are owned, operated and controlled by cooperative societies. So, cooperative societies are maintaining, running, owning and controlling this warehouses, and it will be given for the use of its members. So, these are the classification of warehouses. So, on the basis of ownership, we can classify warehouses into 5: public, private, bonded, government, cooperative. Now, coming on to the functions. What all functions does a warehouse perform? Now, the functions of warehouse. First one is consolidation. Consolidation, that means it is collecting, it is bringing together goods from different parties, collected together as a single bulk and sending it and transporting it as a single shipment to the buyer. So, collecting from different parties, bringing to the as a single lot and giving it to the buyer. That is what the meaning of consolidation, collecting together. Second one is break the bulk. It is just the reversal of that. Goods is being collected at one place, and according to the requirements of buyer, it is being dispatched in different, what to say, on the basis of quality, on the basis of what to say, shape or size or whatever be, we are what to say, we are sending it in smaller lots to different buyers or different parties who are in requirement of that. So, first one is bringing together, second one is whatever goods are being brought together, it is being given to different parties according to the requirements in smaller quantities. Third one is stock piling. What is the meaning of piling? Heaping. So, here stockpiling means warehouses, what they do is that in case of seasonal goods, certain goods we can avail it only during the particular seasons. So, such kind of goods are stored when it is available, stock is being brought together, it is piled together in order to meet the requirement during the off seasons or seasons when these goods are not available. So, whenever there is availability of goods, especially seasonal goods, these are being collected in warehouses, and in the off season it is being distributed according to the requirement. Stock is being collected during, especially this is applicable in case of seasonal products or certain agricultural products. We will get during a particular season only. At that season we will collect it and keep it together, and during the off seasons we are giving it according to the requirement. Value added services, another function. Value added services means mixing, packing, labeling, and certain times goods are packed and repacked. So, it is adding on the value by providing some additional services. So, that is also being provided by warehouses, value added services. Fifth one is price stabilization. Price stabilization means balancing the price. How warehouse balance the price? I said warehouse is doing the function of keeping the goods and giving it according to the demand, according to the necessity. So, if a good is not available, if good is in demand and if supply is not there, automatically there is a chance for price to go high. What warehouses do is that they collect the goods together and they sell it according to the demand. According to demand, supply is made sure, whereby it balances the price. It makes the price not to go higher. So, price is being stabilized by warehouses. Last one is financing. Warehouses, when we are storing things in warehouse, we get a document called warehouse receipt, and this can be produced as a collateral security for availing funds from banks, or owners can avail advances or lend money on the basis of goods which are stored in the warehouses. So, in that way also we can say financing is another function, providing necessary finance on the basis of goods which are stored in the warehouses. That is also another function which is performed by warehouses.